Hello students, I'm Anita Abraham, Associate Professor of English. Welcome to the English classroom. This is video number 10 dated 29/7/2020. Today's lesson is from Semester 1, Unit 1 of the General English curriculum prescribed by Osmania University for students of BA, BCom, B.Sc and BBA. Today's topic is from Unit 1 and is titled Conversation Skills. If you like my video, please subscribe and press the bell icon so that you get notification of subsequent videos. Let's get started. Conversation skills. What do we understand by conversation skills? Conversations are a method of self-expression and interaction between two people or a group of people. And the idea behind having conversation is communication and also building trust and credibility for ourselves and for the people that we are communicating or having the conversation with. Now, it's not easy to have a conversation. Many of us find it a challenge to begin a conversation and continue a conversation. So that's why we need to focus on developing conversation skills. It requires effort, it requires a lot of focus and practice. It does not come easy. So you need to understand the concept of why conversation or small talk is important, have a heightened awareness of its importance in developing relationship, in understanding perspectives, in understanding viewpoints, and also how when you are an effective conversationalist, you are a good communicator and it helps build your self-esteem and your confidence level. Now, what are some of the features that go into having a good conversation, or what are the things that we need to keep in mind to conduct a good conversation? One would be the ability to shift back and forth, because it cannot be planned. It is either between two people, the interaction, or between a group of people, and you cannot predict what someone is going to say, what someone what someone will say. So you need to go back and forth to continue the conversation and so that it is meaningful. And the other important feature of a good conversation is our ability to be clear and precise and present our perspective in a very crisp and interesting manner. No one likes a boring, long drawn out monologue or conversation from anybody. All right. And also we must develop the ability to deliver the complete message. You cannot be an effective communicator or a good conversationalist if you're going to send out broken messages and broken, communication. So these are the three good features of a good conversation: the ability to shift back and forth, the ability to be clear and concise while interacting with others, and the ability to deliver complete messages. Okay, let's look at some tips for improving conversation. Okay, because this is a skill. Conversation, beginning a conversation or starting a conversation and continuing a conversation is very challenging for most of us. So we need to look at certain tips which we can practice to improve our conversation skills. So what is the first one? Spend unbroken time. That is, long and continuous conversation helps us knowing the person better. Okay, so we must take an effort to know the person. So we need to spend time with the person, and that with that our conversation with the person, the interaction will develop. Okay, and And then listen more than you speak. Active listening is very, very important in communication, and hence also in conversation, which is a means of communication. Remember, we have 2 ears and just one mouth, because we are supposed to listen more and talk less. Okay, so that is what the philosopher Diogenes said. And nature has given us 2 ears, so we listen more. And if we listen more, then we are grasping all the nuances of the conversation, and we will be able to conduct a better conversation when it is our time to interact and speak. Another important tip for improving conversation skills is to ask question. Garnish, or sprinkle the conversation with open-ended questions, so that you are getting information, not closed questions which will elicit a yes or a no answer. You must have open-ended answers so that you can get information from the person or people that you are holding the conversation with, so that you can use that information to continue your conversation. And then a very important tip is, don't dominate the conversation. Be cheerful, be genuinely interested in what others are saying, listen to what others are saying. I know we all want to, exert our personalities, show that we know more than others, but that leads to breakdown in communication, and you cannot have a good conversation and interaction. So we must resist the urge that it's a human tendency to dominate a conversation, be the center of attraction. So allow everybody to speak, be the one who includes everybody in the conversation. Only then can you have a very dynamic, vital and vibrant conversation. Use the appropriate body language, which is very important. Be active with your body language also, meaning let your body also speak. Non-verbal communication is very important in holding a good conversation, because it sends cues, it sends signals to the others that you are attentive, you are interested in what they are saying, and that helps continue the conversation and does not lead to breakdown of communication. Also, another important tip is to paraphrase the speaker's words. Okay, pay attention to what the speaker, another member in the group, or the person that you're interacting is saying, and put it in your own words, so that you are clarifying, you are reiterating, and so that the others around you know that you're paying attention and that you are agreeing or disagreeing or whatever. So these are little tips that will keep the conversation going. Okay, and also the 3 C's rule is very, very important in continuing holding a good conversation, which is care, courtesy and consideration. The 3 C's: care, consideration and courtesy. So we must be mindful of the others with whom we are holding the conversation. We should be polite and considerate, and if we are interacting with others, whether it is one person or a group, we must have the broad-mindedness and the ability to accept multiple perspectives, multiple viewpoints. And you may agree, you may disagree with someone, but you must have apply the 3 C rule, which is care, courtesy and consideration, and continue your conversation, and that will help you be a good conversationalist. Also, take care of accuracy and fluency while speaking. work on your vocabulary, build your vocabulary, because you cannot keep repeating words, you cannot keep repeating phrases. So both accuracy and fluency is important in whichever language. In English is what we are talking about now, but whether it is your mother tongue or a foreign language that you have picked up, you can hold a good conversation only if you are fluent in the language. So work on building your vocabulary, so you have a corpus of vocabulary to fall back on, you're using the right word at the right place. Similarly, work on accuracy, the correct grammatical structures, whether it is formal or informal. Okay, so use the right structures and words at the right place. And also take care that you are not holding a parallel conversation at the same time. Okay, so give full attention to the conversation that you are conducting and follow the sequential sharing of ideas. That is, one thing should lead to another. It must be organic. Okay, one thing leading to another. It cannot be disjointed. And that comes from giving full attention, active listening, and from care, consideration, and courtesy, and being interested and attentive to what is happening in the group or with the person that you are interacting. So, let me give you some important tips on how to be a good conversationalist. First of all, would be to exchange greetings. Okay, so and also to reciprocate. All right, so greet somebody you're going to have a conversation with, and then if somebody has greeted you, then reciprocate, reply, be courteous and polite, and be concise, precise. Don't hog the conversation. It's not that it should not become a monologue where only you are talking and everybody else is getting bored just listening to you. So be concise, be precise, and don't interrupt anybody also when they are talking, but make sure there is a flow in the conversation and it is natural. The other important tips to be a good conversationalist would be to be specific and use vivid language, vibrant, different. So it's interesting to listen to you speak. Okay, being specific, concise, precise, we talked about that. Don't ramble, don't be the only one talking. Allow others also to join in the conversation to give their viewpoints, and that's very important. And also using the right structures, using a vibrant language. So building vocabulary, building good sentence structures is also very important. The other important thing is using the appropriate body language. Your body language, your non-verbal communication will tell the person that you're interacting with or holding the conversation, or the group that you're interacting with, and holding the conversation, whether you are interested, whether you are attentive, okay, or whether you are bored. So that's very important. Let your body speak for yourself. Even if you are doing it, you should do it consciously, otherwise your body will convey messages, send signals unconsciously. So be aware of your body language also, and never end a conversation abruptly. Okay, it shows disrespect to the people you've been interacting with. So always round off your conversation, and make sure that there is a proper closure to the conversation, and end it with polite, goodbyes. Again, let's move on to some more tips on how to improve conversation skills, and that would be, there are two basic aspects of face-to-face communication. One is body language and one is the verbal communication. That is what we are actually speaking. So the verbal and the non-verbal, and both are interconnected, they are interdependent, but then the verbal expressions are always assisted by one's body language. So you must remember the interconnectivity between and the interdependence between our verbal and non-verbal communication. They should be in sync, they should go together. It is not that your verbal communication, say you are saying something and your body language is conveying just the opposite message. Okay, so despite the interconnectedness and interdependence between verbal communication and body language, uh, sometimes what happens is the body language, the non-verbal communication sends cues and signals which may not be in coordination with what you are saying, because you are not meaning what you are saying. So it is very important that we be honest and straightforward in our conversation, so that there is a just balance between the two very basic aspects of face-to-face communication, which is verbal and the non-verbal communication that takes place. Okay, let's look at some of the components of a good conversationalist. Okay, a good conversationalist would know various topics: culture, politics, sports, entertainment. Okay, information is power. If you don't have information, if you are not well read, if you don't know what's happening around you, you cannot hold a conversation. And I always tell my students, be up to date with general knowledge, be up to date with current affairs, know what's happening around you, around the world, so that you can, hold a good conversation. And when you hold, when and it's through your conversation that people know you are well read, you have a knowledge of what's happening around you, and that's somebody that everybody would like to know. Now, also be a good observer. That's another trait or a component of a good conversationalist. Observe things around you. Observe people whom you're holding the conversation with, because, like we said, the non-verbal communication or the body language also communicates what is not verbally communicated. And also, by observing keenly things around you, you pick up a lot of what you call knowledge that you can use in your conversation. Eye contact is important. To smile, to be pleasant is important. And you should have the ability to create a good atmosphere. You must be the harbinger of joy and happiness to any group that you are part of. People should enjoy having a conversation with you, because you are a natural conversationalist. You are a happy person to interact you. You have intelligent, relevant things to say. Okay, and then you must take the initiative to start a conversation if you are in a group or you meet somebody, or you must, if you feel that the conversation is slacking, is breaking down, then you must take the initiative to hold it together. And also, if you feel that it is time to end the conversation, let it not drag on. You should be the one to take the initiative to gently wrap it up, because otherwise it can go on and on and on meaninglessly, and everybody can become bored, and there is no communication happening. You see a breakdown of communication. Like I said earlier, be the person who creates the good atmosphere. Be the one who brings tranquility, peace into any conversation. Only then will small talk or conversation be an enjoyable experience for everybody that is involved. And of course, very, very important, like the 3 C's that we said earlier: show interest respectfully. You may not agree with another person's point of view or perspective, because all of us have our own opinions about things, and many of us have strong opinions, likes and dislikes about things. So let that not color your conversation. We must be very what you call open minded, and we must be respectful to other people's opinions. And also active listening, listen to the other person. People like to be the center of attention. Yes or no? We all like to be the center of attention, of attraction. Yes or no? It is a given. as human beings, it is our second nature. We like attention to be focused on ourselves. We like to be the center of attraction, attention, whatever you call it. So when somebody else is speaking, give them the center stage so that the attention is on them. Okay, listen to them respectfully, and that is what will keep a good conversation going. Okay, to make people feel the center of attention, okay, and that you are, and that's how a conversation goes on. Use follow-up questions, something that they have said, because you draw more information from them. Give their give your opinion, but respect other people's opinion. Ask for advice, give information. And very important, do not interrupt when somebody is speaking. Do not hog the conversation. You are the only one speaking, and others are just listening to you, holding their heads that they have, because they are not getting any opportunity to, join in the conversation. Wait, and when your time comes, give your opinion. Okay, a good impression is what we look for in every first conversation. It gives us new opportunities. Okay, so what happens is, when you are holding conversation with people, and if you are following all the correct tips and techniques that we have been talking about, you are going to leave a good impression, and you are going to, people would want to know you, want to have more conversation with you, and you are going to become popular that way. Okay, and a good conversation is like a ping pong game. Okay, it the ping pong, the ball comes back and forth, back and forth. It is to make it interesting for both players to play. So you hit the ball, and then the other person hits the ball back. You cannot hold the ball, you cannot keep it, then the game doesn't go on. So what is the most important element of a good conversation is to make sure that everybody is involved. Okay, it is a game that everybody is enjoying playing. Okay, and if your vocabulary, the purpose and style of speaking are good, then you can be successful in every aspect of life. Make a good, you can make a good impression, and it is going to help you succeed in life, because initial conversation, or how you hold a conversation, is how you make impression with other people, and that's going to help you succeed in life. Remember certain things about yourself. You must be self-confident, and only then, that if you're self-confident, then immediately you become a good conversationalist. If you have also the necessary what do you call knowledge base to hold and carry on a conversation. We must remember that each one of us is interesting in our own unique way. We should never underestimate yourself. I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything interesting to talk about. Don't underestimate yourself. Instead, try to improve yourself. Make yourself interesting. Never underestimate yourself. Build your confidence up. And the way to be a good conversationalist is by practicing talking and listening. Okay, but keep in mind, gossip is not a good thing to talk about in a conversation. So gossiping about other people, talking about others behind their back, is not good conversation. It may be interesting, okay, but it doesn't qualify as good conversation. So never gossip is what I would say. Now, when we're talking about conversation skills, there are two important things that we need to take care of. One is self-introduction, and the other is greetings, because this is how these are conversation starters. Okay, so what is self-introduction? Self-introduction means introducing oneself. Okay, you often meet new students, people in the classroom, strangers at your workplace, when you're traveling by bus, train, you meet new people, and you need to give them your introduction. So that is self-introduction. Most essential than these, at the job scenario also, you need to introduce yourself to the interview panel. In all these cases and many more, we need to offer a brief introduction of ourselves. And so self introduction becomes a conversation starter, and we need to practice it and be very good at it, because it's the first impression and it has to be a good impression that we are giving others. All self introductions are not stereotyped. The occasion determines the content of self introduction. So the inputs can change from situation to situation. So if it is an informal gathering and you're meeting a group of friends and some of them are new, then your introduction would be very casual. But in an interview panel, when you are introducing yourself, that would be a very formal self introduction. The way you introduce yourself to the neighbor is not the same way that you would introduce yourself to an interview panel or to your professor at the university. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So the situation demands the content of the introduction, what would go into it or what should not go into it. So it becomes very important for you to plan your self introduction much before you encounter these situations. So that's why we said conversation requires practice. Okay, it is not easy. You need to practice, and so your self introduction should also be ready before you encounter the situation. So you should have a variety of self introductions ready, and which you can, so that you use the appropriate one in the appropriate situation. Let us look at some key points of self introduction. We meet different people in our day to day life. We meet friends, relatives, and strangers. When we meet someone for the first time, we need to introduce ourselves to them. Our introduction needs to be brief and effective. That's very important. We should not trouble others with unnecessary information, and at the same time, we should not skip important aspects of ourselves. So we should be brief. At the same time, we should be, concise and give all the information that the person would require. Another important point that we need to keep in mind while introducing ourselves is we should draw attention of the listeners by greeting them in a well pitched voice. Okay, always begin your introduction by greeting. Okay, we will move on to greetings also. So greetings and self introduction go hand in hand, and you should state the purpose of your speech and make it personal. It should be yours. It should reflect you. It should not be rote, memorized. It should not be somebody. The natural you should come through. And while concluding, you may add an aspect of your life to tell your audience what makes you who you are, what makes you unique, and what you are. It can be one of your strengths or even a hobby. So that would depend on the situation. Okay. So like we said, there is no one self introduction for all situations. So depending on the situation, you need to tailor your self introduction. So look at some of the appropriate expressions that can be used as conversation starters, because a conversation would start with a self introduction. We have about ourselves, and also if you're introducing a friend. So what are some of the appropriate expressions that you could use? Hi, I am from, I am studying, I want to become. Okay. Or if you're introducing a friend, hi, this is my friend, he is from, he is studying, she wants to become. So these are all appropriate expressions for introduction. Some more about ourselves. When you're introducing yourself, the individual, I do not like, my strengths are, my strength is, my weakness is, I am good at, when we are talking about ourselves. Or if you are talking about your friend, he, she likes, he, she does not like, His strengths are, her strengths are, his strength is, her strength is, his weakness is, her weakness is, he is good at, she is good at. These are some of the appropriate, what do you call, expressions that you could use during the introduction. Okay, now let us look at some questions that are designed specifically to help you to create your self introduction. Okay, and you can pick out answers from your personal life and try to answer the following questions so that you have a template, a kind of framework of what should go into your self introduction, and depending on the situation you can add, delete, and tailor it so that it is appropriate for whom you are interacting with. Some of the questions that you need to look at: who are you, what's your name, okay, where are you from, or what is your education, what is your main personal goal, what would you like very much, what is it you hate or dislike. Okay, have you developed any special skills, do you have any unique special ability, which activity has played an or plays an important part in your life, or it could be a person, an incident. What are your interests, hobbies? Okay, what do you do in your spare time, what are your strengths and weakness? Try to identify these things. What is, how are you different in your attitude? Okay, so what is it that makes you different from others? Each one of us is unique. So these are 10 questions that you could think about and try to answer based on your personal experience, because everybody's personal experience is different, everybody's life is unique. Use these 10 questions to have a kind of framework for your self introduction, and start your self introduction with a greeting, depending on the time. Good morning, I am. Good afternoon, good evening. Use introductory greetings when you're introducing yourself or others. Okay, some of the expressions or greetings you could use is hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, depending on the situation. Okay, so you would use the appropriate greeting. Some of the other greetings and conversation starters would be, could be hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good, nice to see you, good to see you, nice to see you, I'm glad to see you, I'm happy to see you, I'm pleased to see you, how are you, how have you been, how are things, how, okay, how is your girlfriend, how is your boyfriend, how are your friends, how is your family? And the answers could be fine, thank you, how about you, very well, and you, not too bad, thank you, not too bad, thanks. How is your girlfriend? She's fine. How's your boyfriend? He's fine. How's your family? They are fine. Okay, so these are some kind of greetings that you could have, and these are the replies that you could give if somebody is greeting you. Okay, and while you're introducing yourself, you can say, may I introduce myself? My name is, let me introduce myself. My name is, I would like to introduce myself. I am. I don't think we have met. I am. So these are conversation starters. Okay, you're meeting somebody, and this is how you introduce yourself. These are effective conversation starters, and then you continue the conversation. If you're introducing someone else to a group, okay, or to a group, or to somebody who doesn't know them, this is how you would do it. Can I introduce a good friend of mine? She or he is, and the name. May I introduce a good friend of mine? She, he is, and give the name. I'd like you to meet Sharath. I would like you to meet Sharanya, and introduce the person. Or another way of introducing someone else would be, I want you to meet, and then give the name. How do you do? Okay, so the reply could be, how do you do? Nice to meet you. Okay, nice to meet you too. So these could be some of the replies. And of course, like we said, we need to conclude conversations also. If greetings and self introductions are important, so is goodbyes, or how you round off your what you call conversation. Goodbye, bye, I shall say goodbye, see you later, see you soon. These are some of the expressions that you could. I'm afraid I have got to go. So you're leaving. So you need to tell them very politely that you need to go. It has been interesting talking to you. It has been a very useful meeting. These are all wrap ups. This is how you conclude your conversation. Thank you for sparing your valuable time. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a nice day. Have a nice trip. Have a nice day. These are, depending on the situation, you would use the appropriate goodbyes. I look forward to seeing you next week. I look forward to seeing you in the next meeting. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Whatever is appropriate, you will use that to conclude the conversation. So students, I hope you realized how important it is to start a conversation and hold a conversation using the tips that were given to you. All right. And also how important greetings, self-introduction, and goodbyes are in a good conversation. So let's wrap up by quickly reviewing what we have learned today. It's Introducing yourself is much more than saying your name. It is a way to connect with someone you do not know. Introducing yourself to strangers can be tricky because what you say depends entirely on the context. You might have to introduce yourself differently depending on whether you are addressing an audience before you give a speech, meeting someone at a networking event, or starting a conversation with an unfamiliar person at a party. It is important to introduce yourself in a way which is appropriate, which will make people like and remember you. Okay, small talk or conversation skill is of vital importance because it is what helps you hold on to the conversation and helps you communicate effectively and keep the interaction going on. Okay, for many of us, starting a conversation and continuing a conversation is a challenge. Everything becomes easy with practice. Use the tips that we have learned today and become effective conversationalists and good communicators. Thank you. Take care and stay safe.